Hi there, so today I'm going to be making a gooey caramel ANZAC slice. This is a fantastic slice that I got to try for the first time when I was in New Zealand, and I have made it several times since then. It's a very easy recipe. It comes from the Chelsea Sugar website, so I'll pop the link below and you can get that recipe for yourself. I made a couple of changes to the recipe though. I've made it gluten-free, so I'm just using a gluten-free flour this time, and I'm going to substitute 1-for-1. So very, very simple. It's not a cake that needs to rise or bread or anything like that, so 1-for-1 is fine for this recipe. So I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius, and I've got my slice tin that I have lined with baking parchment, and I've done that just so that it's easier to get out of the tin and it's a little bit easier to clean up and that sort of thing. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I find it much easier with this slice. And this tin is a 20 by 30 centimeter tin. Now I got this when I was in New Zealand, so if you're doing inches, you're looking for about an 8 by 11.5 inch tin. So we'll move this out of the way and we'll get started on our slice. And it's got 3 layers. So you have a cookie kind of base, you've got a lovely caramel middle layer, and then you've got your sort of crumble topping on the top. And that has a really nice sort of oat, regular crumb kind of oat texture with the coconut and sugar and that sort of thing. So we're going to start with our flour, and I need 1.5 cups of flour. So I'm just going to measure that into my bowl. Next, I've got 1 teaspoon baking powder. I've got 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I'm using a dark brown sugar, but you could use a light brown sugar as well. That's not a problem at all. I just happen to have dark, and it gives it a little bit more of a caramelly flavor, I find, so it helps with that caramel layer and flavoring. So it's a packed cup, 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I'll add that to my bowl. And then I have 140 grams of butter, and that is 1 stick plus 2 tablespoons or 10 tablespoons of butter melted. So I'm going to add that to my bowl, and then we are just going to use a fork to mix it. So very easy, don't need a mixer or anything like that, just use a fork. And it's sort of a doughy kind of base, so it's going to kind of be like a crumbly dough to start with, quite wet. And so you're just going to sort of mix it with a fork until it's all incorporated. There we go. So now that that's done, you're going to grab your tin that you prepared, and you're going to just pour all of your crumbly dough into the bottom of the tin. And then I just sort of use a fork to spread it out over the bottom of the tin so that it's sort of evenly distributed, and then you want to press it in nice and firm. Great, so we've got the base all nice and firm pressed into the bottom. I'm going to pop this into the oven for about 10 minutes. You don't want it fully cooked because it goes back in the oven again at the end. Okay, so we're on to our middle caramel layer. This uses sweetened condensed milk. So I've got 1 can here, which is 14 ounces or 396 grams of sweetened condensed milk that we're just going to pour into our bowl. So for this caramel layer, you can either do it in the microwave or in a double boiler. I'm going to do a microwave method, but double boiler would work just as well if you're just going to continually stir it if you're using that method. But I'm going to do this in the microwave, so nice and quick and easy, I think. So to my sweetened condensed milk, I am going to add 50 grams of butter, which I've cut up into some little pieces, and that is 3.5 tablespoons of butter that I've cut up. So just going to add that in. And then we also need some golden syrup. Now I don't have any golden syrup at the moment. I can find it in the grocery store most of the time, but I happen to have some light corn syrup. So I'm just going to use 2 tablespoons of light corn syrup. You could use dark corn syrup, or if you happen to have golden syrup, then go ahead and use that. But that's what I'm going to use for this recipe. So that's 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. So we're just going to mix it a little bit before it goes into the microwave, and then I'm going to pop it into the microwave for 1 minute on high, and I want to keep stirring it every minute. Okay, so that's been in the microwave, so we're going to give it a little stir, and then I'm going to pop it back into the microwave again for another minute. Okay, so another minute and another stir, and I'm just going to keep doing this until it starts to bubble. So I'll just sort of keep going until it thickens and sort of turns a nice golden kind of caramel color, really is what you're looking for. And that's when you're ready to stop. Okay, so this will be the last time that I microwave it. You can see it's really bubbling. Sorry about the steam. And it looks kind of like it's separating, but you're okay. Just give it a really good stir and it will come back together and you have your really nice caramel. Just be careful, it's very hot, so I've got the tea towel and I've been using that as it gets hotter, so just be careful, but give it a really good stir. Okay, so our base is done. It's still soft, you can see, but it has a lovely golden color over the top of it, which is exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to set this just aside while we make our crumble for the top, and then we can add our caramel and crumble topping at the same time. So I'm using a flaked coconut instead of the thread or shredded coconut that the recipe calls for. So I've got a flaked unsweetened coconut that I'm going to use for this recipe. So to my bowl, I'm going to add half a cup of the flaked unsweetened coconut. I'm going to add half a cup of rolled oats, half a cup of packed brown sugar. Again, I'm using a dark brown sugar. And it calls for 30 grams of butter, which is about 2 tablespoons of butter. But to make it kind of even, I've done 2.5 tablespoons of butter, because then that you've used 2 sticks of butter for the whole recipe, which I really quite like. So then I'm going to use my fingers and I'm going to mix the butter into the crumble mixture and the oats and all of that stuff. And I like using my fingers because I can sort of feel when it's all nicely distributed throughout the whole topping, so it's all kind of evenly mixed in there. So now what we need to do is we need to take our base and we need to add our caramel. So we're just going to pour the caramel on top of the base, and you want to be careful as you're smoothing it all over the top because your base isn't quite set. It sometimes pulls up from the bottom a little bit, so just be careful when you're spreading it, and sort of I kind of keep going in a nice sort of swirly smooth S kind of motion and make sure that I'm kind of going from the inside out more than the outside in. So just spread that all over the top nice and evenly. Once you've got that nicely spread all over the top, then you are going to add your crumble that you've just made, crumble topping. And so again, just sort of sprinkle that all over the top and sort of gently move it all over so that you've got even coverage over all of the caramel and over all of the top of your slice. And then you're just going to gently press that into the caramel so that it stays nice and solid when it cooks, and when you take it out to cut it, it'll be stuck into the caramel. Okay, so now into the oven for 10 to 15 minutes until golden and bubbling. And this is our finished slice. Doesn't it look fantastic? You can see all the golden brown coconut on the top, and it's nice and sort of bubbly and golden. So now we need to let it cool on the wire rack in the tin, and then we can take it out and cut it. So I'll come back once it's cool and show you what it looks like. All right, so here is a lovely close-up of our caramel Anzac slice. It's all nice and golden brown all over the top. We've got our toasted coconut pieces and our lovely browned caramel all along the edges. It's nice and firm to the touch, so it is cooled and ready to take out of the tin. So let's do that. Okay, so here is our slice out of the tin. And we can just carefully peel back the edges of the baking parchment. So much easier to lift out this way. And then we can take a look and you can see what it looks like from the side. So if we just bend this down, you can see the lovely sides that you've got on there. So you've got your base, your caramel is kind of taken over the sides a little bit, and then your lovely crumble topping. And it's nice and thin. You can do whatever sort of sizes you want with this, or you can cut it up however you want. It's a great slice to bring as a treat for a dinner party or for a picnic. It travels well, it packs well, and any size you want. So enjoy, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please do give me a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, please pop those in the comments below. And please subscribe to see what else I'm up to. Thanks so much again for watching.